What is going on? What's going on, everyone? If you guys are tuning in, I'm just letting you know what's up. I'm just here to chill out for the last like 5 minutes before I go inside, get myself some food. But today, just kind of tapping on light activations and like how people are experiencing their light activations. Because the truth is, I know many people in this world are going through light activations in terms of remembering thoughts. So if you're tuning in for the first time, uh, it's all about remembering these thoughts that are coming in. These are all these light activations in terms of memories, in terms of heart, in terms of stuff that are coming through. And I just want to help people that may be going through these things and try to make it as easy as possible because it's not easy doing life on your own in the sense that um, you know the answers that we seek, to the questions that we want to know are not found with the people that we hang out with or the people that we know in our lives. And it's sometimes it hurts our hearts a lot because we're just trying to figure out the solutions to our own questions. We're trying to figure out the solutions to our own journeys. And so I really want to help people slow down in life and really make this understanding that we're meant to be here all together to help each other because all these thoughts and stuff that we create from inside has to be exposed to the outside because the truth is if it's not, you're the one who's crazy. You're the one who's crazy enough to be holding on to this. And we need other people to validate that crazy or not crazy. And it's up to you if you want to accept that or not. Because the truth is, we're all a little bit crazy for the right things. Because crazy works in the sense of you could be crazy for doing some project that you need to see it all the way through, even if it's not yours, but your work requires you. That could be crazy, and that's just an experience of crazy. And that's a great thing because it works for your favor, but is it truly working for you because you're doing that work for somebody else? That's the that's the other side of the coin of crazy because you're doing that work for somebody else. Because why wouldn't you be doing it for yourself? People try to use the logical excuse, oh, in return, you would be doing that for yourself because you're getting paid from that. But at the same time, is that money, that monetary value, more valuable than the time that you could have had with your family, with yourself, with your kids, with your dog, with your animals? No. Because I guarantee you, if tomorrow was the last day on earth, you wouldn't think about how much money you have in the bank. You would be thinking about the people that you love and the people that got to love you and the people that you truly want to experience happiness with and all of these beautiful things. But how do we allow ourselves mentally to understand that we are enough as we are to be accepted as we are, to know that we're already doing those things? And I appreciate the 7 of you that are in here for patiently hanging on to what I say because, listen, I do things in quantum levels, and I have been since I was 8 years old because I suffered from a mental disorder that I didn't know I had, and that's paranoia. You guys have probably been hearing about it on TikTok or hear the song. It's a beautiful girl somewhere in the States that sings it. She has a very deep, resonating voice, but essentially, it's a mental psychosis that a child enters due to the fact of some trauma, and they can't get themselves out of it because of how much that trauma shook them. And a lot of people experience this because the truth is, in humanity, we've all came to a point where we've all been dependent on ourselves, and we've all been just doing the best with the information that we have and been trying to live the best that we can with the information that we know. So we're always taking parts of our past into our present, but we have to acknowledge at the point in our realities if the past that we're taking is validated to be in our present, because if it's not propelling us forward, what is it actually doing? It's propelling us backwards, which is not a bad thing if you need to go back into your past to understand something for your future. That's okay. Because sometimes we need to take times. This is why people get depression. This is why people get into depression. Depression is one of the hardest things to talk about because it's an umbrella term for something that is underlining, that is in our subconscious that we're dealing with. And thank you all for tuning in because I would love to share this information out with you guys because part of my story is sharing this story that will also resonate with you to some level of degreeness with the truth. And that's all I'm telling you is my version of my life from the truth perspective, not from a biased perspective, from the truth. And so that's the thing. Our minds speak louder than what our words do because our actions come through our subconscious. And this is due to the fact that we can never hide the truth. The truth is felt on vibration because that's how we feel love. Love is something you feel. It's not something you think of. And the same is said to be about fear. But here's the thing. We were born into a world of fear, right? Everybody that's alive now has now learned about that we've had 1 world war, 2 world wars, we've had this, we've had that, we've had all these experiences in the negative, but we were born into this shit without even knowing, you know? And so, by nature, happy birthday, Clover! I don't know who Clover is. And depends, yeah, the neglect. Gamer girl, I'm so sorry that I totally wasn't paying attention to my chat here, you know? Yeah, happy birthday, Clover. Dog, yes. Is the dog still currently with you, or is it past? Just curious. What's up, spiritual synergy? Welcome back. Oh, I love when I love it. I love it. Let me know if Clover, your dog, is alive or has gone to the other side. I'm curious. Okay, good, good. His spirit is strong then. Spirit is strong, because it's making me question. So, your dog's spirit, happy birthday, Clover. You deserve to fucking enjoy every loving and unloving thing you can do as a dog. Bye, buddy. Have a great day, man. Yeah, so back on track here. Like, I want to share my story with you guys. Because the truth is, I believe that we all suffer from this mental disorder called paranoia. Or paranoia. That's the one that we actually suffer from. But we also have the mental disorder of pronoia. And that's the thing that I want to help educate people on and become aware of through their spiritual senses, through who they are as individuals, because once you start remembering parts of who you are, it becomes then so empowering, because you no longer can allow any manipulators in your life to manipulate you just the way that you've been manipulated to get to where you are. Because the truth is, nobody's ever spoken the truth of the truths. Like history. If you break up the word, it's his story. So it's one version of the truth, but it's not the full, complete version of the truth. And this is the perspective and objective mental mind that I had to live with in my life, because I was paranoid about doing the good things. I wasn't sure if I was doing the good things, and so when everybody told me to shut up, or when nobody wanted to hear me or anything, I took that to heart, and everybody called me sensitive. And as a boy, growing up into a young teenager, into a teenager, into a young man, to the man that I am today, that was very traumatizing. That was very traumatizing because it was constant reminders every single day, and I didn't know that I suffered from this mental disorder. And this is why I want to help educate other people, because there's many people out there that get paranoid about doing the right thing, and they think they're doing the right thing. Women experience this a lot more with women than it is with men. But here's the thing, men experience it just as much, but the thing is, men experience it more on the internal, because men have never been okay to speak about our emotions, because we would be looked at as sensitive or as weak or less than. Because, and this is, regardless if this is true or not, society has made this to be a partial belief by what we see in the media. And so this is the sad part, because there's a lot of great men out there. People always say, like, good men finish last. That's because we let women come first. That's the truth, like, people gotta understand that, like, because we know our power. And so within saying that truth, fuck those Andrew Tates out there, because these are emotionally ignorant men who choose to not do the healing that they clearly have exposed as a sore thumb. Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls, the people that are in the media, these young guys that are talking, they don't realize their inner traumas are speaking louder than what their truth is out of their mouth. Because the way that they're spoken is in a way where they don't see the beneficial benefits of having women. And I know they're just trying to educate women on, or men and women on, how to recognize these qualities in partnership. But it's like you can't say these things and not be these things too. Don't be a hypocrite. Like that's the truth. I don't. Oh, I look like God. I appreciate it. We all look like God because you guys are all beautiful, just as God. Going to break the patterns. Yeah, you got to break the patterns. Absolutely. But guys, this is everything I'm speaking of. I believe I can call this the glitch in the matrix, because this is not something that I could die for. I mean, people could kill me for this, but the truth is, guess what? Everybody in this world is going to figure this shit out one way or another, because the only person that's ever been with you through all the darkness and all the light is yourself. So it's a matter of, can you remove the projection of judgment away from yourself and learn the lessons that you're supposed to? I did this naturally because I was forced to, because I was so scared. I was scared as a child. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or I was doing the wrong thing, So, like, you know what? I just want to share this truth to anybody that wants to listen. And if anybody wants to come in and harp on what I'm saying, great, go ahead. I don't care. Because at the truth, I'm going to listen to you, but I know what I know. And it doesn't mean I'm going to disregard what you're saying. I'm going to take it into regards. But the truth is, I'm still going to move forward. And I'm going to discover the truth because I got to walk through it. Because that's where I've been programmed. And I wasn't programmed like everybody else. I was living inside the world that existed within myself. Because I was the one questioning if I was ever doing right or if I was ever doing wrong. And I just wanted to be heard to the own beat of my own song. But nobody let me play along because everybody thought it was an ego thing. Everybody thought I was just trying to compare. And I was like, no, like, what? I'm just trying to share, But that wasn't people's fault because I didn't know about this. And if I knew about this, it's still up to me to consciously take the action to get in front of it and do it and lay out those communications, right? Because it's my responsibility to let people know what's acceptable to me in my life and what's not acceptable to me in my life. Because yes, the more knowledge, the more enlightenment. But knowledge, here's the thing. Knowledge is useless if it cannot be applied. If knowledge is not applied, then what is it doing? Just storing for what? That's a fear-based incentive. So knowledge has to be then converted into wisdom. Wisdom is then calculated and earned through walking the experience of an event. So, an example, you gain knowledge of what love looks like because of your parents, correct? Yes. So then you have your first love, regardless if you're 15, 16, doesn't matter your age. You experienced love for the first time, and that was your degree of what you felt love because of your knowledge, correct? And then up until that point, life teaches you your first heartbreak. Unless you're one of those lucky son of a guns that found their lucky one on their first try, which is great, which is beautiful. We should empower those people because that's a rare occurrence because that's not easy. That's not the easiest thing to accomplish. That's an antique of a love, like very ancestral, grandma and grandpa type of love. That's something that we don't see in today's society because everybody's so quick to get their attention needs from someone else that's willing to give it because they're looking for their attention needs, right? One person's trying to feel love and one person's trying to give love. So opposites attract, of course, but it attracts for the negative causes usually at first, and this is how we end up in our own cycles. But we don't see that we call in these people as reflections for ourselves to learn and grow if we can remove the judgment from it. But this is the hardest thing. How do we remove the judgment if we're emotionally attached? Well, we got to understand the logic behind it. And the logic behind it is you can't promise that you're always going to be here. And that's the truth. Because you don't know what tomorrow looks like. That's hypothetical. We have no idea if it's coming. Yesterday has already passed. So therefore, it's history. It's gone. It doesn't exist. So that's why the hardest part is to live in this current moment. But that's why when you learn how to live in the current moment, you receive the gift of the Lord, the gift of the universe, the gift of the stars, whatever you want to confirm, source, God, something higher than you. Because if you don't admit to yourself that there is something higher than you, creating all of this. You're just being ignorant. Because when you look at yourself as a human, in terms of the universe, in terms of space, earth, everything, we're peanuts. We're peanuts. And anything outside of that is just ignorant. Anything outside of the realization that we're peanuts in the grand scale of it is ignorance, and ignorance is bliss because of this. And this is why, yes, we got to learn our emotions and who we are, but we don't got to. This is our choice, because everybody's going to go through their healing when they want to go through their healing. And I've learned this because my fight for love for my entire life was just to be heard. And my pain was my sword. My pain was my sword, because I just didn't want anybody to feel what I felt, because I was feeling what everybody else was feeling. And so I was paranoid about people feeling what I was feeling, but I was also paranoid about doing the right thing, even though I knew I was doing the right thing. So, this is like my truth, you guys. And I'm not looking for anything, maybe a little bit of recognition. And that's okay, because my whole life I've had to validate myself. And that recognition is just to be seen sometimes. And maybe, is that so wrong? Because I feel like my whole life, I haven't been seen because I haven't seen myself. And I finally am, and that's why I'm confidently speaking at the speed of rate that I am, or clearly, effectively communicating the way that I am. Not everybody's supposed to get it, because you're not supposed to hang on every word, because that's how people get attached, right? Because you're not responsible for retaining all this information, but people do, and it's not my fault. And this is the struggle that humanity has, because humanity puts this expectation that we're supposed to know what everybody's talking about. So I appreciate. I'm taking out. The expectation when I first came on here, I said I was going to spend 5 minutes, and I just wanted to talk, and I wasn't even going to talk about this stuff, and here I am, speaking about it. Yeah, you always have a smile on your face. You're a pleasure. And thank you. Thank you for your comment. You guys, and here's the fucked up part. Refrain your good comments, because they just activate me more, because I needed the reassurance in my life, and I've also given it, so I don't need it, but I love to hear it, and it makes me feel even more grateful. But this is why I pass it on, not for the expectation to receive it, but because it makes me feel good, And so, thank you guys. This is what I mean. I know these moments are happening for me, but also for you guys to see. This is the unspoken truth that men go through. And it's not all men, but a lot of men are trying to figure it out. And it's women too. It's all of us. And it's like, I just give a fuck. I give a fuck. And it's like, people harped on me my whole life for giving a fuck. But people don't understand that mental disorder that I was going through. And it's not their fault, because they didn't understand that I wasn't aware of this. But it was that mental disorder that fucked me like this on this one side of me. And so, like, That's why I know that these are activations every time somebody speaks, because it's through God. And it's like, maybe you don't recognize how you are a part of God. You and God are one and the same, but this is the law of one. We're all one, and this is the end of duality, because without you, there is no me, and without me, there is no you. And that's why we're never meant to take things personal. And some things are okay when we take things personal, because God gives us the graciousness to have the patience, because we've had this patience with ourselves our whole lives. And I, at 17 years old, wanted to kill myself because I couldn't deal with this shit anymore. And I took that part of my life away, like, and it was tough. And it was tough. And you know what? At that point in my life, what saved me, what pushed me was the love of my sister. And I apologize that I'm not getting to people's comments right away, but I promise you that I will, once I regain the truth and calmness in the same hand in hand. And like, I just want to say, I took 36 aspirin pills at the age of 17, because at that time, my mom split from my dad, and, my dad was an aggressive man, and anger, it was what he taught love by. He taught love through anger, and it was really scary growing up, but like, I understood his lessons, because I know my father loves me. If he didn't, he wouldn't be teaching me those things. And so I always grew up tough loved on a sensitive side of my soul. And I've learned to accept that, and I've learned to grow into that. But it was through the torture that I was going to have to eventually accept this, but I couldn't. So at the age of 17, when my mom split from my dad, everybody was going through their things. And I thought it was my responsibility to try to mold my mom together with herself, and my dad with, his anger. I caught my dad trying to kill himself. I experienced my dad's anger in many multitude of ways. When my mom left my dad didn't even know how to take $20 out of a bank account. Like, these are little stories that I've never shared, but these are the Beauty and the Beast moments, as I called them. Because if there's not a lesson from your pain, then you're just wasting your time, because it's going to come back to hurt you. And it's going to come back to hurt you. And that's how life is meant to be. But I say it's wasting your time, because you stress about those things, and then you let them go, and then you stress about those things again at times that other people want to be present with you. And it's hard to be present when your mind is like, ah! And that's okay, because I can wait for these events to happen and unfold. And that's why I want to help people, because I know that in history, I can say we as humans have been deemed as crazy in my books, because if you look at history, we're about to technically enter into a third war, or what Russian-Ukraine shit is going on. They're creating a war when we've already had one war, we've already had two wars, we've had civil wars, we've had national wars, we've had fucking ego wars, we've had mental wars. The biggest war is the one on ourselves. This is the longest war. So I think personally, this is why I'm so passionate to get this information out, to help people, because I can't hide the truth. The truth is going to come through my tears. And if people want to kill me for this, then so be it. Because the truth is, they're going to feel it. And you know what? Maybe that's my part of the contract, to serve as a purpose for them. I'm not afraid of death, because I faced it at 17 years old. I took 36 aspirin pills because I wanted to stop my heart from beating. And I didn't know that all I had to do was cut my wrist and I was fucking dead. But I took 36 aspirin pills, and I took a 5-hour energy shot, and I smoked what I had available to me at the time, which was a Century Sam cigar. And it was the tobacco that I wanted to smoke, but I said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die with a bang. I was in the ICU, intensive care unit, for 3 days and 2 nights. And in that amount of time, I had my friends, I had my family, and I had everybody see me. And nobody made me cry as much as my little sister. She was the last person to come see me. My little sister that I ever fucking am forever grateful for. And she came into the room, and her lips started quivering. And I can say this because I've healed through it, and I've laughed through it because of my plant medicine. And the truth is, because of the lessons I learned with her. And what I learned was this. When my sister hugged me, or just before she hugged me and her lip was quivering, my ego was like, hey, if you're going to cry, it was rejecting love. It was like, hey, if you're going to cry, get the fuck out of here, as a joke, right? But I didn't realize that that joke internally was actually my subconscious rejecting love. And then my sister said, shut up, and she hugged me. She gave me the divine feminine love in my life that I needed, because everybody seen me and everything, but like my sister didn't say nothing. She said nothing. She cried and hugged me. And when I hugged her, I felt like it was the last hug of my life. And I felt so guilty as a brother because my dad was in jail. My dad was out of jail at the time, but my dad was on not probation, but he was on house arrest with his sister because of something, a sexual assault charge upon my mom that was laid upon him, and there was a big stink about it. But listen, I don't want to get into the details about that because that's not the main point here. But the thing is, my dad couldn't be there, and so like I felt that guiltiness of who's going to be her male role model, because my brother was so traumatized growing up as a kid that he couldn't emotionally support himself to be there for me or for my sister, but he did spiritually, energetically, always. And I know this because, he recently appeared to my ex-girlfriend, who was my twin flame on the dark side of my soul, and she's the one that told me that he appeared in her dream and told her to make up her mind, which gave... That is so weird. That is so weird. Wow. Wow. Wow, that was odd, guys. That was the Chinese governments and Canadian, all the fucking elites and all the fucking conspiracy theorists out there. They don't want this truth to come out, because the truth is, if this truth comes out that people can empower themselves, which is what they've been fearing, they don't have power over you. I'm sorry. For anybody that doesn't want to accept that as a fraction of a truth, but I'm not saying that's all I believe in, but the truth is that glitch didn't happen for no reason. That glitch happened because this truth doesn't want to be told. Because the moment people around the world, hey, Adriano, what's up, my dude? The moment that people empower themselves all around the world, what can the governments, what can the elites, what can people do? They can't. We're just energy, people. So what? You'd kill us. We already know that we're going to a better place. Because the world that we've created on physically, historically, on statistically, we can show it's been more crazy to live on planet Earth than it is to be dead. Because, look, we're heading into a third war, people. For what? Did we not learn from lesson number 1? Okay, benefit of the doubt. Maybe we didn't learn, so we tried. Okay, but World War II, it happened. So why didn't we learn that lesson from the first one? Okay, so we experienced the lesson in the second one, but why are we going into a third one? Why are we not learning as humans? Because the more we don't learn about our emotional intelligence, it's like anger. Anger is one of the strongest tools and one of the most anger is one of the most powerful tools, and it's also one of the most disempowering tools. Because your anger could kill somebody, and that could end your life as well, because when you kill somebody, your life is done. Part of your life is done, because you're going to deal with that guilt one way or another, even if you're psychotic about it. It doesn't matter. You're going to deal with it. You're going to fucking deal with it. At one point or another. When your death comes, you will deal with it. Regardless if you deal with it in the physical or with God. You're going to deal with it. That is it. That's the truth. But the opposite is true, too. Hold on. I'm just jumping off the train of thought. This is the ego, because the problem here is explaining all of this. It's the challenge of what society is going to think. But I got to remember that I'm just speaking my truth in 1 degree, not all of it. I got to take a sip of water. And I'm smoking straight tobacco, if anybody's wondering, because I have sacred fucking union with my tobacco, because when I was about 22, that's when I started smoking. I started smoking cigarettes in a negative way, but the cigarettes were my crutch, my suffice to help me think for myself. And so now I've created a sacred union recently more because I've understood this. That I was doing this subconsciously while my grandfather died of smoking cigarettes and this and that. And it's like, here's the truth. Yes, should I put smoke into my lungs? No. But I know and trust in God that as I smoke as I'm propelling that air into my lungs and breathing it out, I'm transmuting the air and negatives of this world at the same time. And I'm okay with that. If that's my ego, I'm cool with that, because there's not much things I got to do in life because I was so paranoid. And that's why, like, my parents never let me go out, because they were more just paranoid about me because I was a crazy kid. That was it. They were just like, I don't know if this kid's going to be okay, because this kid just wants to experience things for the purity of it. My mom knew this, and this is why, like, my mom's always been my number one supporter. And this is why men should always honor their mom, because regardless if they know it or not, and regardless if their mom was nice or not, their mom always chose to have them in this life. And that's not to go into the whole conversation about abortion, because here's the thing. I've understood abortion as, you're killing a spirit, but at the same time, there's a lot of women that go through it because of the circumstances, and I give them the benefit of the doubt that, yes, given those circumstances, whatever you're faced with, you're accepted. You're the one that holds the judgment on yourself. If that felt right to you, that felt right to you. God's not diminishing you because you decided to take that life away. You made the most appropriate choice for your time at that moment of your life. So, at the end of the day, I'm not going to harp on you. Yes, if you ask me for my personal belief, I'm going to say, yeah, you know what? Like, personally, with me as a man, if I was with a woman who was pregnant, even if I didn't think, like, hey, I'm the perfect partner for this person, but I can fucking do my best to fucking see this baby all the way through, to give it a chance and bring it into this world, because I have enough faith and confidence within myself, maybe not in my partner, but within myself. I'm going to want that baby to be born. And that's the truth. And that's why people get confused, because my opinion is not judgment of what their decision to do with what makes most sense in their life, because the truth is, I need to understand that I'm going to do everything in my life to the sense of degree that I have it. What's up, Chantel? Love you, lady. The truth is like, it's people's fear is what gets projected on my ability to be truthful. And women go through this a lot. They experience this with men, because men are so loud and vocal and crazy, and anger, like I was talking about earlier. Anger is that power of an emotion that it can empower you or it can disempower you. Because the anger I have for the governments and everything, because realistically, they're the ones that set this in place from our ancestors. Everybody's dealing with this shit to some level of degree from an ancestral path. This is why we're remembering parts of ourselves, we're remembering parts of our ancestries. We're making sense of life that we've never known. And this is because we're feeling the energetics of the replications. Everything's at a drop in the ocean. Energy works like that. And energy might take its time to get here, but we got to understand, when we go into like meditative states internally, we're in the quantum field of life. But when we actually get to the outside of life, we're in the quantum field of things. But our mind, because what you think about, you bring about, and what you resist, you persist. Our mind is what creates our reality, because we all know, if anybody's ever been on psychedelics, when you've been on psychedelics, your pupils dilate. And the reason why everybody who's ever smoked weed, your pupils dilate. That's the first thing that officers, cops look for, because they're policy enforcers. That's why weed was always a drug. But who's selling the drug now? It's the governments. People, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying one thing or another. I'm not saying it has to be this or it has to be that. I'm saying it can be this and it can be that. And it can be this and it can be that. You know what I'm saying? Just put this in a tag. Don't worry about this, because I got that. Because we're going to put this into the pot of soup that we can serve to the fucking youth. I don't really know, but this is just my truth. Gotta get it out, so gotta get it loose. Because I don't need the seriousness on this fucking case. Because I was the fucking case, the mental case, I don't fucking know. But I was the child that didn't know the difference between the two. That's it. And I don't see it as special. I see it as more or less fortunate. And I do see the fortunate side of it as well. Because it helped me bring me to where I am today as a man, as an individual, as a being. And how I walk upon this life of earth. Because, people always said I'm always so loud in this. I never shut up. Well, there's a reason I never shut up, because nobody actually fucking gave a fuck to listen to me. The four of you in this fucking chat, I just fucking unconditionally, straight up, just love you just because you're here. Regardless if you're fucking with your phone or your phone's in the... Sorry if you have kids around, by the way, because I'm really very, very loving and polite with kids. Absolutely. Because kids are fucking pure. I love kids. And this is my fear that I always was afraid to admit this out loud because I was always afraid of, like, people portraying me in the wrong image as a, like how they did Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson wasn't a fucking pedophilia motherfucker. The media made him that way. And the reason why I believe that about Michael Jackson is because one of my favorite artists as a kid was Eminem. And Eminem, to me, was so relatable because he came from trailer trash to where he was. And that inspired me. 50 Cent, same thing. Bulletproof or Get Rich or Die Trying. You know, these parts of these characters, when I was younger because of my brother, they shared a relation to me because how I felt internally, because these were men on TV programming, but I didn't, because I couldn't make the difference between good and bad, other than the understanding of what I was taught from the people that loved me. And that's the ability to empower yourself, is knowing the difference, right? Because here's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Modern day. Not medical definition, but modern day. And the modern day definition is more relatable to who we are because it makes sense. If it makes sense, why do we have to have science behind it? Because if it makes sense and it helps you, we will find the concrete answers behind it if it logically adds up later in life. Because you can't do everything to... There's somewhere in humans' minds where they think they can get everything perfect. But there's no such thing as perfection. There's not. And that's the beauty in this. Because you're perfectly imperfect. You're meant to be with your dark. You're meant to be with your light. And this is what I really want to help people do by just loving themselves. And I've technically been doing this for the last 20 years, but I've only been doing this consciously for the last 9. And I've only done this really super consciously, because it takes a lot of awareness of egos, but these are levels that we hit within ourselves, because it's always about the death and the rebirth of the ego mind. Because the death and the rebirth needs to happen in order for you to let go of the knowledge and accept the wisdom that came in. And so therefore that is part of evolution. Because therefore you're not learning, you've learned from yesterday's mistake. You learned from yesterday's lesson. I say mistake, but that's how people look at it. I only say words, everything I explain, if everybody were to see the purity in what I would say, I would speak less. Because people would understand. Right? But I've logically broken this all down my whole life because I was looking for answers for myself. I was looking for answers to be the solution to other people's problems because I kept blaming myself. And then I was also trying to make sense of it all at the same time because I wasn't aware that I had a mental disorder. Guys, you guys should have seen me when this was when I was 26 going on to 27. When I found out that I had like the spiritual definition of ADHD, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God. Ah, ah. And guess what? My partner, Dustin, my business partner, he also, when he found out that he was ADHD, he was fucking so happy. He was so happy simply based off the fact that he had an awareness of how can he manage himself better in this life that requires so much attention from him. He's a father of 4 beautiful girls, a wife that got injured in a car accident, who is no longer working, who is working so hard to try to lean into him so that it's not all on his shoulders, but she has physical complications because of this accident. And they've just been constantly hitting the wall, and this man just finds a way to explain himself through science instead of seeing the realization that part of it is through God. And that's okay because he's still my best friend. And he's still the best fucking man that I've ever met in my life. And the best example of what I know to be true as a good father. You know? In the sense of the purity. Because I don't know him any other way. I only know him as how I met him. And the funniest thing, how I met him, was because he was different. The way I met him was at the dealership when I worked as a finance manager. He fucking wore his tie in such a unique, beautiful way where I was like, dude, can you teach me that? And because of the purity in my heart was like, I think that's so cool. He was like, yeah. And then we started talking. Hi, I'm Dustin. Da 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 da. And then I started getting into this guy's mind, and I was like, man, this guy, the way he sees things, it's just so much like me. Because men and men can relate if they're both sensitive enough to get past the ego. Because when the ego is present, men and men go animalistic because that's our dark nature. But because of me, the way I was raised my whole life, that was always my dark nature. So everybody always got mad at my anger, but nobody allowed me to see myself that through that anger, because I had no other way to express it. And yes, I'm not saying I was innocent in all of this. No, because there was me consciously doing certain things over and over and mistakes. There was times I was hurting people that I wasn't aware that I was hurting people, but I did on a spiritual sense because there was a greater lesson. But I wasn't aware of that in the human sense, and that's why I always broke down with ex-girlfriends, or that's why I always opened my heart as best as I could, and that's why I always felt like I wasn't enough for myself or for life or for any of this. You doing okay? You need anything? Thank you. I was just lovely person that I'm with. It's just loving me for who I am and helping me see, reflections of myself, because, even that this person struggles with seeing themselves clearly, I am the person that's going to listen. That's why God and that's why Earth give us 2 ears and 1 mouth, because we listen twice as much, because it's as above, so below, as above. But I've done that on the quantum level naturally, always. As above, that's why we have ears, so the information comes into our head. So we have the ears from what we're seeing as human. That's the 3D reality, right? But we need the 4th dimension ability in our hearts to open, because when our hearts open, it opens up as like an open channel. And that's the only way, because when our hearts open, the energetic blood flows, and we start delivering blood and air and oxygen to our brains, which then allows our brains to relax, because when our brains are in heat, when our brains are warm, what happens is it starts to overwork. It's like a machine. So the only way you can cool down that machine is with rest, which is depression, deep rest. Your brain needs to rest. And the reason why it's so important to rest, because your cerebral fluid that's in your spine, this is DMT. I know this because I did the plant medicine. The DMT that's in your spine is what helps you dream at night, because it hits your pineal gland, your creativeness inside your head, and that's what cools the rest of your mind. And that's what helps you relax. But how do we achieve the state without being asleep 24/7 or being in a cave 24/7? This is why animals do what they do, so they don't overly react to humans when they see humans trying to fuck their shit up, right? Like a mother bear. Don't fuck with a mother bear, especially in hibernation. If you wake that woman up, imagine waking up your woman when she's on her period, when she's angry, and she's tired. Y'all are asking to die. That's the truth. And if y'all are fucking taking this offensively, the ones that are taking this offensively, y'all go do this to your mothers and tell me if you're still taking this offensively, because your mothers are going to be like, yeah, I'd fucking kill you. Because the truth is, that's the truth. Regardless if I'm a boy or a man or a girl or a woman, it doesn't matter. Forget about what I look like. I know who I am. Stop projecting your labels onto me, because I don't project you being a woman just because you're a woman. Because I know you're much more than that. But the thing is, people hold on to a belief system so much that when I say that, they don't want to accept it as a fraction of the truth. Because this is what we're doing. We're putting the pieces of the puzzle all together, hand by hand. We can't do this alone, because we can't see the bigger picture. So sometimes every reflection that comes in, we have to know what's true to us and what's true to that person and what information we want to take, because it's vibrationally going to open us up or going to close us down. And this is why the heart is the transmitter to the 4th dimension. It is the 4th dimension, your heart, so that you can embody all of this. Because as the information comes up from God and it comes down, as above, comes down, so below, your ears, you're listening to the person speaking like you guys are right now. Your heart is open enough so you're staying here, you're being present, and you're receiving a gift, because now you're understanding what I'm saying, and I don't even have to speak this out loud, but I'm doing it because I'm letting you guys know that we're on the same frequency, and I'm just hearing you guys on your frequency. And if I'm freaking you guys out, maybe it's just me on my spiritual ego projecting that, but that's okay. That's a fraction of my truth. And so let me get back on track here. As above, so below. So you have to bring it in. This is why they went to go put plastic on our shoes, because we got to ground this energy. Who doesn't do earthing? Who doesn't do grounding? Why do you think animals have their natural fucking paws to the earth? Always. Because the energies that they go through, this is why animals typically are supposed to be unconditionally loving, but the only truth and proof of an unconditional loving animal is a dog. Every dog in the world can love any human. It's just, can any human love a dog? That's the truth, because we're not asking the dog to change, because that would be domestication of love. But that's the domestication of love that we do with humans on a regular basis. When we don't mean to, but we do this simply because of the truth that we want to fulfill our needs. But the thing is, the needs that we need to fulfill are the needs that we need to fulfill. We need to take ownership and responsibility. Now, it doesn't mean you can't ask for help. Now, how do you ask for help without being in your fear? How do you ask for help when nobody understands? How do you ask for help when nobody wants to hear you all the way through? How do you ask for help when there's no information on this? Because I'm telling you guys, I learned this this past Friday. Today is Wednesday, today's Wednesday, the 25th. And the truth is, I only learned about this on Friday. All of this, the understanding of this, the clarity of this. I didn't know this my whole life until Friday. I've been making sense of all of this until now to help out everybody, because I care about people. And what I went through, nobody should ever go through, because that was my motive. And that's my anger towards the darkness in this world. And I've worked on that anger, because now I know that no matter what they try to do, no matter what I try to do, it is going to be the way it is going to be at the end. But let me help some people mentally let go of themselves so that they can ease themselves into life like I am right now. Because I love you all that are in here so much, so unconditionally. Just because you guys are here for me, listening to my story. And that's all I'm asking, is that I hear myself, and I think that's the beautiful thing of technology, because we don't need people to do it, regardless if people want to, and that's where the elites have to understand. The elites, the conspiracy theorists, the MK Ultras, the fucking Chinese governments, the fucking ones that have been programming all the fear into us, they have to understand that even if this is why they want to control what we see on the internet, because guess what? I learned to trust everything that I was seeing on the internet that was messages for me. Now, the hardest thing about trusting this was, how do I trust this without letting this go to my mind and knowing what is truly for me and what is out of desire? And that was the emotional intelligence that made the difference. Am I wanting this for me? That came with desire. When something becomes desirable, when something is linked with the want and desire, you're clicking that with emotional attachment. And that's okay, because you're allowed to want and wish for things in life. But here's the truth. If you're willing to do anything to get it, that means you're willing to do anything for the light, but you're also willing to do anything for the dark. And I'm a true example of that, because I will say this till the day I die. To help people. That's who I am. I don't know. I can't explain it any other way. I have my passport here, and that's why I came. And part of coming here, I left one of my deepest loves, and I've seen her for 4 years go through this mental struggle. Not just her, other lovers, my family, my mom. My mom is my biggest one. I'm not the man that I am today, the gentle man that I am. I am an aggressive man, but that's 25% of me, and I break it down in percentage so I can understand myself. That's all. I don't break it down to be like, oh, I'm perfect. No, I'm just breaking up my percentages, because I don't understand why people say, oh, if you get 50, I'll get 50. Or I get 50, you get 50. It's like, no, if you can give 100, give 100. But the thing is, you can't give 100 because your mind is settling to everybody else, everything else that's not important to your heart. And that's okay, because you're trying to make sense of it all, and you're trying to wrap it all back in, and that's good. Because you're doing your job that God has asked of you unconditionally that you never knew that you were doing in the first place. Did you ever listen to Play Piano for ADHD? No, I never did. Could you send me something? Could you send me a link through a DM or something? Spiritual Synergy? I would totally love that. if you could. Because, like, this is why I realized that marijuana, it was considered a drug. So the thing I looked at in life is this. Why can't we do things? Why do things have to be this or that? I didn't understand that concept because my father was that way. I didn't understand why my father was that way because in life, growing up, I didn't understand why everything had to be black and white. Because not everything is black and white. Because based on your circumstances, what you're facing with, and what you're facing with mentally, and what you have, everything's so different. Now, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to get water and take a sip, and I'm also going to take plant medicine, and the government TikTok suck my right testicle. They want to ban me because the message is out. Because on TikTok, the platform, because the message is everybody has the power to empower themselves, and we're going to get there regardless if it's done through me or done through all of us. And I don't care to do it through me. I care to do it through all of us. That's what people don't see because it's joyous and fun and loving to me. Look, people are jumping out, and that for me, the way God is playing the story I'm playing out as I'm speaking this. People are leaving because it's glitching, and that's okay because it's for me to understand. The truth is, maybe these people are just going out, and that's okay. I don't have to be this or that. It's not everything's not black and white. So I'm going to take my plant medicine, and I'm going to take my fucking God source water. This is how we understand life because water is God. God is everything, and for the people that believe like there's no God. Even nothing is something. Because I lived that. And if anybody wants to attest me to that, test me. I'll fucking prove to you that something comes from nothing. Okay. Holy Ali. I seen you near the end. Thank you for being here. Hey, what's up, Chuckadoo? What's up, Jimmy? What's up, Jimmy boy? You know what? Yeah. I got the leaves in my mouth. Here's the truth. Marijuana was introduced as a low frequency plant. You just manifested. Well, damn, bro, you manifested quick because I'm clearly here. What's up? You can tell me what your manifestation. If you need help with it, put it in the chat. I'm gonna help you. Put it in the chat. Let it out. But the truth is, what I learned about marijuana is this: it's a plant that is grown from nature. Mother Gaia. Gaia was created on a frequency of love. So the plant that comes from Mother is one of pure love. Now, humans have figured ways to smoke these things, drink these things, rub these things into our systems. Just like, holy shit, you came out of that door, oh man. This is why I love weed, because the weed helps the mind. I totally took the bulb. Yeah, no, I thought you totally meant it for me, dude. That's what I don't know, you left it there. That's like I'm a raccoon, you're leaving food there, you're like, raccoon's not going to eat it. No, of course the raccoon. I got it here, look. Oh, you know what? It's okay. This is my partner. This is my current partnership. Oh, okay, no, she's not okay right now. Okay. Anyways, so what I learned about marijuana, because the Earth frequency was born on the 5D frequency, which is unconditional. Yeah, totally smoked on camera. Yeah, she's paranoid or questioning.
Just asking.
Yeah, because I totally told TikTok and governments, if they don't like it, that's their problem. If they want me off their platform, I'll find another platform, and then I'll find another platform, and I'm keep rolling because this is my fucking truth that I stolen from the fucking youth, because this was my truth from my youth, because this was stolen from my youth, motherfuckers. So the governments and the matrix and to the patriarchies out there, One day, this video will come out, and I don't give a fuck if you murder me or murder my people in my life because they all signed up for this like I signed up for this. They have to protect themselves. And this is why I want to empower people, because my fear of this projection of a story that was not total truth, but a fraction of the truth, if it's played out, at least I know I did my part to protect people, even if I'm not there. So I can, technically, I don't need to feel guilty about that. I did my best. And that's the cosmic joke about this all. It's a dark humorous joke, but we've all been like mentally struggling to do our best and be okay with that. And because we have, this is why the world's gone insane. Everybody started something out of love, out of the intention of love. That's why marijuana was introduced, because it's the ease of mind. That's why. Hold on, people. Yeah, I see the time. I mean, Mom, actually, I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. Yeah, I want to spend. Yeah, so listen, everybody that's in here, I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon so I can actually spend time prior to going for a drive, and watch some movies maybe, and just chill out. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of understanding on a mental level. Sorry to kind of drop you guys there, but kind of click this all back in and wrap it up with you guys. The truth is, it's like we all are alchemists, and if you don't know what that is, do search it up. We all are healers, and I believe we're both of that all in the same time, because an alchemist comes from a dark wielder of magic. An alchemist can turn nothing into something. This is where they say turn water into wine. Jesus was an alchemist. That was for the good, but also this is true and said for the bad, you know. And so this is why alchemy was never a thing. But that's why there was Masonic temples, people who worked, the Illuminati's, what do you call those Masonic, what do you call Masonic workers? People who work for the Masonic lodges. What are those people called? Representations. The Illuminati, guys with the rings. No, not the Cabal. No, you're thinking too far. Make it simple. To the 3D. The Masons, yes. Fort Masons. The Fort Masons are such a big pillar to this because they were the wielders of dark magic. But here's the thing: it's a group of men that knew how to do it in a safe manner that when first created. But here's the truth: because it deals with the dark magics of life, which is natural emotions like anger, because anger is an expression of yourself. It's not true to you, but it is part of you because as evolution came on, we were born into a negative world, and so it became part of us to see anger around us because everybody else did, and that's okay to say because the truth is, if there was no better example to learn from than yourself, then this whole time in your life you've been beating yourself up because your high standard of what you could be is not known in your reality because you grew up in a nature versus nurture lifestyle. So with that being said, yo Jimmy, I hear it says connecting to Mother Earth and her helping with something, same with the divine. You're really getting into your imagination again. Yes, dude. Listen, Jimmy, if I can offer you any suggestion of help or clarity of light, speaking on the imagination as a man, the hardest thing is letting go of the judgment. Saying, oh, that sounds stupid, that sounds silly, or that doesn't sound like a man, that doesn't sound mature, that sounds, for us, it's like, how do we learn how to be a grown-up kid? And that's the way I am. I'm a grown-up kid because I don't need it. This is my redefinition of what a man is. I don't need to live by what a man was. That's everybody else's fucking projections. So this is what I'm suggesting you do the same for yourself so that your creativity can be your expansion of who you want to develop yourself into, because the truth is you're going to strive for a different version of yourself, the best version of yourself anytime you can. And so give yourself the graciousness that you are already doing that. So keep doing that the creativeness, and yeah, connecting to Mother Earth. When you don't know what to do, man, connect to Mother Earth. If you have warm land around you, if you can do it outside, and you connect to Mother Earth by breathing, right? Because there's moisture in the air, and H2O is important, the water, right? oxygen. That's how you make oxygen. You need the two, right? So that's nature. That's Mother Nature. That's God and Mother Nature. Because listen, God was so profoundly in love with Mother Nature, the nature of who she was, for what she was, and that was His love for her. And when they made the story of Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve is true to some degree, I believe, on a personal level. But I believe that the full story of it is painted and tainted because I believe God kept restarting with His children over and over the chaos because He was trying to have a perfect child, but then He realized He couldn't do it after Eve took the apple because He realized that He can't control everything, and He was trying to. And he was trying to forgive himself. He was trying to learn new things. God was doing His best. And I say He was doing His best because I'm a man in this world, but I don't label myself as that identity. I'm aware of it. And I refer to God as a man because that's what I always seek, is a father image to teach me right. And the one that I've been following is the one intuitively that's been guiding me. And that in my thought then became unionized through the synchronicity of my heart because of the pain I went through to get to the truth so that I can learn the love to give back to the pain that gave me that pain, but also to give myself the allowance to learn through that pain and continue to grow as much as I can, because I was always concerned that if I didn't grow, I was dying. And I've always explained this to people: if you're not growing, you are dying, because life grows, life continues on without you, and that's Mother Nature. And that's what makes women so powerful. Men, understand yourself. But you understand before you fall in love with yourself. Understand what you got as a man, but understand who you're falling in love with prior hand. And that's the hardest thing to do, because we all have walls. But if the truth is, if you want to love, allow love, even if it scares you. Even if it scares you, because love is meant to be love. It's not meant to be domesticated. And if I can recommend any book to any of you out here, please, 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 I highly, highly recommend this book would change your life. I read it once. This is where I started understanding life in a different perspective. Self Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. He's an amazing artist and author who has passed, but his son has continued some of his books. The Four Agreements is a big one, but read this book of his because I highly recommend him, and just understanding his perspective of the truth, because he comes from Toltec traditions, which is all shamanic teachings, which is all healing, and he's carried out that wisdom that he's gained and now turn it into an actionable step that everybody comprehends in a book that's only maybe 193 pages, maybe 223 pages. It's around there. That's how much the book impacted me, that I can remember it energetically to an ideal number of pages. I don't even remember the content. I just remember how long it was, because it was shocking how much it made sense. So, Self-Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Give him credit. That man's brilliant. He was a brilliant teacher of love, and his son is even more brilliant. If I could ever get this message out to him, your father is a legend. Thank you for fucking bringing some wisdom and your wisdom as a fucking family tradition to this earth, because you know what, people? We're going to recognize so much gifts and great things about one another. It's just a matter if you are going to realize that first. Because if you don't realize it first, the world won't realize it. And I'm pointing the finger because I can check myself 3 times, because I've done this for me. So I can point the finger to make sure you do it for you. And with that being said, remember everything I say, always with the intention of love and light. And just stay bright. And thank you.